Okay, so this is your example. This is your document that you're going to type in with the rubric, and this is the example. So the headings are all those parts of the social science research process that we've been talking about since the beginning of the semester. So you're going to use those here. So although we're sort of faking this a little bit after the fact, that's okay. Your research question essentially is, what were you trying to figure out? Then the hypothesis is specifically, what did you expect to discover? So yours will be written, it'll have to do with whether or not you thought that the results that you would get would be the same as the results from that background information that you found. So it's going to be fairly simplistic and a little bit different from these ones, but that's okay. Your background research is your secondary research. So this is where you're going to summarize that study that you found in the databases from the library website. And you're just going to explain what it was that happened in that study. The method is a survey. You're going to explain who your demographics were that you were trying to find out. And you can also explain here, in the end, who was it that you got? So for example, if we look back here at our results, I would then explain these percentages. So when it comes to age groups, here's who filled in the survey. And when it comes to gender, this is the breakdown of the different genders that filled in the survey for us. The data analysis is where you're going to put your graphs and an explanation of each graph. So the conclusions and next steps has to do with, in the end, did your data actually match up with what the secondary research showed you? So if you had data that suggested that, I don't know, 20% of people had stolen something as a child from the corner store, and our data, your survey found that the number was 40%, then you would explain that here, that there was a difference there. Okay, so you also are going to talk about some of the problems with the research that you did and how you did it. Social science research is never perfect, and it's often after it's completed that researchers find out what it was that went wrong. And one of the things you're going to discuss here is the limitations of the sample. So who was missing? Who did you end up not actually hearing from? And how could you another time have perhaps tried to get a hold of those people, right? What would be some other means that you might have to get a hold of those people? The works cited should just be one link, and that's the link to your, you don't necessarily have to do this whole works cited format. Just give me the link to the article, but please make the name of it this here, whatever the article was called. That way I can go into those databases. Actually, I also need to know which database it was. So what you might have here might be something along these lines. Academic one file, behavior of students in hallways in Toronto schools. And you would make sure that was spelled right and everything like that. And you wouldn't even have this. Okay, so I just click here, and I'm not going to end up going to where you want me to go. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up in the academic one file. I'll probably have to log in there, and then I'll just search for this, okay, for this title. So that's fine. So if you need to go back into the database and find your original research, you should do that so you know what it is, okay? Now, a couple of important things here. This is all written in what I call third person, but what I find students today call formal. So there's no I, we, you, and do not try and tell me that you can't write something in third person. That's not true. I've been doing this job and writing these kinds of things and reading these kinds of paper for too many years. There's nothing, I tell you, that can't be written in third person. If you're not sure how to do that, I know who you can ask. That might be me. So ask that, practice it, ask the people in your group for help, ask me for help, and make your work as good as it can be.